was a scary day, alright. People thought it might be the end of the world. Tonight, we're broadcasting live from Pinpoint Park. I'm standing at the believed epicenter of the Great Collision.
None of you understand the power you hold in your hands. Your very existence is a threat. You will not disrupt fate, get it?
There will be others who come from out of nowhere, trying to get their hands on your Bakugan. This is only the beginning of the journey.
See that? That's how strong I am.
No, that's too much.
I'll show you. What is happening here? And why only to us?
How dare he? I will never lose to anyone now. No one will be able to come close to my power. Now that I have the core shell power, I will be the victor in this battle, Maximus! Behold, you will all kneel before me. Now feel my power! I will get you, Tico!
On December 23, 2018, Bakugan Battle Planet aired on US television, with it airing in Canada shortly after on the 31st. Surprisingly, for an anime, the Western air date preceded the Japanese air date, with the show airing in Japan on April 1st, 2019. It would be the first episode of any Bakugan-related media in the West since 2012, with Bakugan Battle Planet acting as a reboot to the Bakugan series. The series was a collaboration between Japanese animation studio TMS Entertainment, Canadian companies Nelvana and Spin Master, and American writing group Man of Action. The series was directed by Kazuya Ichikawa, who is known for his work directing the Monster Strike ONAs and the Clean Freak TV series. Western audiences may be more familiar with his work on Pokemon Generations as the episode director for episode 16, and his CG work on Evangelion 3.0. Kazuya's CG experience was probably why he was chosen for his position, as the series uses CG for all the Bakugan, making Kazuya a great fit. Kazuhiko Inokai was the lead writer of the series. Kazuhiko has worked on another well-known tie-in anime as one of the writers for Vanguard Legion and the Vanguard G series. Kazuhiko is also credited for writing 4 episodes of the recent Baki Netflix series. Joining him are Akira Kandaichi, known for their work on 2019's Dororo, Mutsumi Ito from Sailor Moon Crystal, Natsue Yuguchi, and Yuki Tanahata. Man of Action is credited as the story editor for the series, as well as writing the pilot episode. Man of Action are known for their work on popular American cartoons like Ben 10 and a myriad of Marvel cartoons directed towards children. The reboot was first discussed back in 2015, but information was kept under wraps. An investor presentation showed an early concept of the Bakugan reboot. It is much different from what we have now, with what seems to be a more cartoony look with an older looking protagonist. There wasn't much more public information until 2017, when the title Bakugan Battle Planet was trademarked, and with information about the show and toy line being discussed in a meeting, with the possibility of a movie being produced as well. The Bakugan Battle Planet show uses an 11-minute episode format, with each 22-minute block containing 2 episodes for a total of 100 episodes. The 11-minute format is odd, as unlike other shows that use this format, Bakugan Battle Planet has an overarching plot, making the mixing of episodes, which is done a lot by broadcasters for shows with this format, a lot more trickier, and with each episode having to hit what seems to be a quota of 1 battle per episode, it does really mess with the pacing of the show, and it could feel like there's constant fighting at times. The designs we know today were first shown in 2018 in a 2017 report by Spin Master. The art gives us a glimpse of the final character designs of the lead characters. Bakugan this time around have a more mechanical look, which translates well in CG. However, when first shown, had a mixed reaction, as the original Bakugan in the Battle Brawler series looked more animal-like. Though for people like me that didn't really watch much of the original series, it wasn't that big of a deal. Bakugan Battle Planet would officially be announced with a teaser on the Bakugan website, asking the user to answer the call to brawl with a date for December 1st and a sign-up for the email newsletter. I signed up for the newsletter, and aside from the initial newsletter telling me things were on the way, there was never a second newsletter. More disappointment would come on December 1st when the website would update again, but all it did was show a quick animation of Dragonoid and update the timer to December 17th. As the wait for more official information continued, leaks of the first wave of toys would appear online and in stores. Bakugan would officially announce a sneak peek event to show off the reboot to YouTubers specializing in TCGs, toys, and all things nostalgia. I remember once I saw the toys get released early in some of the states in the US, I started going to my local Walmarts here in Canada almost every day to the point of insanity. The release date was supposed to be January 1st in North America, however I wouldn't be able to find it until 2 weeks later. It doesn't seem that long when looking back at it, but when you were excited as I was, plus on top of going to multiple stores almost every single day, it did seem like a long time passed by. However, it is odd that they waited until after the Christmas season to release a new toy line, but I guess the competition was just too high at the time. What did show up officially during the holidays, however, was the tie-in show. 12 years prior to the show's start, a meteor falls onto the city of Los Vamos, a fictional city located in what I believe is this world's equivalent to the US. Miraculously, damage was minimal and no one was hurt, but the site was blocked off from the public. The event would be called the Great Collision. Dan Kouzo, the main character of the show, was born on the day of the Great Collision, and on his 12th birthday, he and his best friends Wynton Styles and Leah Venegas, as well as his dog Lightning, all go to the site to investigate what really happened. Though while it is an investigation to Dan, his friends are more interested in wishing him a happy birthday. However, once they get to the site, their technology goes out, and they meet these aliens called Bakugan. Around this time, more and more Bakugan are found all across the world, and Dan, Leah, Wynton, and Lightning form a group called the Awesome Ones, who mainly spend their time brawling as well as making videos about Bakugan online, quickly gaining them popularity. While this newfound fame garners them many fans as well as a new friend named Shun, their antics are noticed by those with ill intentions. Soon enough, Dan and his friends learn that things aren't as good as they thought they were, and that both their world and the world of the Bakugan are in danger. While the show uses names of past characters like Dan, Shun, and Drago, this series has no connection to the original. I always found it weird that they kept some of the human names from the last series. Keeping the Bakugan names from the last series is fine, as they are aliens and their names seem to not be personalized. However, taking human names just asks for this series to get compared to the older one, to which it did. I watched the entirety of this series in its English dub. The cast is a collection of veteran voice actors and fresh faces that keeps that Canadian voice actor quality. Julie Lemeau, who played Runo in the original series, returns as Phaedrus. Ron Pardo, who played Hal G, returns as well, playing Toshi and Lupithion. However, the biggest return is Jason DeLine, who was able to reprise his role as Dragonoid. I know a lot of people were hoping that if Dragonoid were to make a return in the reboot, they wanted it to be voiced by Jason. Surprisingly, Dan Kouzo is voiced by a child actor. I say surprisingly, as child actors tend to be limited in their acting. However, Jonah Weinberg has quite the range. I haven't been this impressed by a child voice actor since Aaron Dismuke, the voice of Alphonse Elric in Full Metal Alchemist. Dan Kouzo, played by Jonah Weinberg, known for his various roles in Canadian children's cartoons, is the leader of the group called the Awesome Ones. Dan has a knack for brawling and is one of the first people to partner with a Bakugan. Leah Venegas is voiced by Margarita Valderrama, who has done voice work on the popular Paw Patrol series. Leah is the daughter of a news reporter and takes after her mom in the media field. She is responsible for directing and editing the videos, as well as running the social media channel for the team. She can get angry at times, though it's usually shown in a more comedic light. Wynton Styles is voiced by Devin Mack, who is a veteran in the Canadian voice acting world, acting in shows like Beyblade Metal Fusion, Grossology, and the Total Drama series. Wynton is the brains of the group who tends to use his technological prowess to create devices for pranks. However, he later uses it for more serious things, like hacking and creating devices that would otherwise take a team of highly skilled scientists to make. Will Bowes takes on the role of Lightning the Dog and Benton Dusk. Will Bowes has done voice work for the Baywheel series, as well as a minor role in the original Bakugan Battle Brawlers show. Will Bowes also has a long career in television and film, acting in How to Be Indie, Rookie Blue, and The Dependables. Lightning is the mascot of the Awesome Ones and a dog that is able to communicate with Bakugan and be able to brawl just like the humans can. And Benton Dusk is the owner of Dusk Industries. He employs the Awesome Ones after watching them online to help him obtain his goal of creating a world where both Bakugan and humans can live together in harmony. I was actually surprised to find out that Will Bowes played both Lightning and Benton, as the ranges for both of the characters are completely different and he does both of them well. Shun Kazami is voiced by child actor Tycoon Kim, who has some small roles in television and in short films. Shun Kazami is a shy kid from Japan who decides to visit Los Vamos to become friends with the Awesome Ones, and eventually joins the team. Shun is the son of Ichiro Kazami, a cutthroat millionaire who wants to use Bakugan for profit. The Kazami family has a history of toxic competitiveness, which makes Shun's relationship with his cousin Masato strained. Tycoon Kim would be the only actor not to reprise his role for the second season Armored Alliance, where Shun would instead be voiced by Jamie Gonzaga. While Tycoon was fine in his role, he didn't have the range needed for the high action parts, making his voice sound monotone at times. Magnus Black is voiced by Julius Cho, who has acted in various short films and television productions. Magnus Black is the main rival of Dan Kouzo and uses brawling as a way to make ends meet to take care of himself and his ill sister. Magnus is the edgy character of the series, akin to the likes of Kai from Beyblade. However, what I do appreciate is that unlike other series where the protagonist takes all the wins, Magnus and Dan are evenly matched, seeing both sides take a couple losses. The first main antagonist of the series is Philomena Dusk, played by Janice Hawk, who also plays Leah Venegas' partner Bakugan Pegatrix. Philomena is the elder sister of Benton and a business rival. Unlike Benton, who wants Bakugan and humans to live in harmony, Philomena initially wants Bakugan to be used as slaves for humans and manipulates the Awesome Ones into doing her bidding. That is until she is taken down by them and Benton and becomes reformed to fight for the greater good. The second main antagonist of this series, and the one responsible for the Great Collision, is Tico, played by voice actor veteran Rob Tinkler. Tico is a surprisingly deep character, or would be if the show put more focus on his development. The world where Bakugan live is powered by an energy that is emanated when they fight. Obviously, a power source derived from fighting isn't something everyone would be ecstatic for. Tico wants to develop an alternative way to power the planet, but things go wrong and Tico becomes controlled by a virus he accidentally creates. This idea for a villain reminds me a lot of Dr. Octopus from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. However, without the development of Tico and it not being revealed until the final episodes of the series, it does fall flat, especially since throughout the series it is shown that Bakugan love to fight. The idea that there are Bakugan that do not like to fight isn't really explored that much. Also, unlike Dr. Octopus, where his fall from righteousness is from tragedy, Tico just turns evil. I would have loved to see some kind of backstory to explain the reasoning behind Tico going against the grain of his species, but unfortunately we do not see that. Tico's voice is also a bit weird, sounding more like a smoking trucker at times.
It's called the Victory Source!
Rob Tinkler is actually a great voice actor. Here he is playing Hanamichi Sakuragi in Slam Dunk.
Run away? Run away? We'll see who runs, you stupid son of a—
So the direction choice for this is weird and feels off for a character like this. Tico sounds more like a side throwaway character rather than the big baddie of the show. Surprisingly, this isn't the first time Rob Tinkler has been made to do a side character-like voice for a main character. In Beyblade Metal Fusion, one of the reasons I couldn't get into the English dub was due to the portrayal of Jinga Hagane.
I don't think so! I'll take any attack you can throw at me!
He used a very loud, annoying voice when voicing Jinga Hagane. It's the same voice he used in Metabots when playing Spike.
Not the big cheese! I'm allergic to cheese.
However, Spike was a side character mainly used for comedy, so it was fine back then. While for other characters I don't really mind either dubs, for Tico I prefer the more serious sounding Japanese voice. What doesn't ruin the character completely for me in regards to his voice is that when he takes over Benton, their voices are combined and it sounds a lot better.
At last it's mine!
A couple standouts for me is Colonel Tripp, who is my favorite side antagonist of the show. He is your typical army guy that wants to use Bakugan for military purposes, though he does eventually team up with the heroes. He is voiced by Martin Roach, who is really able to get that gruff commander voice out of the character. Martin Roach also has a long list of credits from television to Hollywood blockbusters. And my favorite character of the entire series, reboot or not reboot, is Masato Kazami. He is Shun's older cousin, and after seeing his father break down after being fired by Ichiro, Masato spends his youth training and studying to be a cutthroat businessman so that he never ends up like his father. Masato is the character that goes through the most character development in the series, and the performance by Jeff Young really stands out as my favorite. Jeff really has some range and is tied with Julius Cho for best maniacal laugh in the series.
And you played right into my hands!
Masato eventually turns to good, but it isn't after he goes through some pretty tough situations, which is a lot more convincing than Philomena Dusk turning good. Overall, the dub is good, and I didn't feel like I was missing out on much by watching the English dub instead of the Japanese dub with subtitles. Though as far as I know, there isn't a subbed version. The only times when the English voices get weird is when they are forced to match lip movements in situations where the timing is awkward. In my opinion, I would just ignore them, as 2 seconds of silence in the middle of a sentence is a lot more distracting than a couple seconds of talking that's not matching the mouth movement, especially if it means a better performance. In the US, Bakugan aired on Cartoon Network, while in Canada it aired on YTV and Teletoon. It airing on both YTV and Teletoon is weird, as both channels are owned by Chorus Entertainment, and in the past if a show was on YTV, it wouldn't be on Teletoon and vice versa. The show is also available for free on YouTube on the Cartoon Power Up YouTube channel, which is a channel that hosts a bunch of other Nelvana shows as well. The entire series is also available on Netflix and Amazon Prime. A DVD containing the first 26 episodes of the series was released by Warner Bros. Home Entertainment on October 22, 2019. It's just a basic release with no extras, and there hasn't been any indication of any future DVD releases in the English dub. The Japanese dub, however, has seen further releases on DVD. The Japanese and English dubs of Bakugan Battle Planet use different soundtracks. The English theme song was composed by the group Sugar High Bunny Punch, who have also done the theme songs for Beat 'em on Crossfire and Beyblade Shogun Steel. The hip-hop verse was performed by Origin from the group Lost and Found, who is also the younger brother of Devin Mack, the voice of Wynton Styles. The songs Bon Bon Jamboree and Be My Story by the group Hi Hi Jets are used as the opening and ending songs respectively in the Japanese dub. Be My Story is a nice outro, though I prefer the English intro as Bon Bon Jamboree sounds more like a theme song for Hi Hi Jets rather than a theme song for Bakugan due to the group saying Hi Hi Jets multiple times in the song. The music in the English dub is done by the Canadian music company Voodoo Highway, who have done music for other Nelvana shows in the past like Paw Patrol and Total Drama. The Japanese music is done by Yasuharu Takanashi. If you are an anime fan, you have definitely heard his music before, as he has done the music for such anime as Naruto Shippuden and all its movies, Boruto, and Fairy Tail, just to name a few. The music in the English dub feels less impactful, as while the tracks are nice, the English dub doesn't have any breather moments without the music, meaning the music just kinda blends into the background. The only time when the music does become noticeable is when there is an action scene where the music becomes more heavy and high energy, or when the music has just been going on for so long that it begins to get annoying. The Japanese dub does a better job with the music, allowing for moments where there is silence or the sound is just from the sound effects. The Japanese dub also has a lot more electric guitar in its tracks, as well as some orchestral tracks. While I do prefer the English intro music, I prefer the Japanese OST. The Japanese OST is available to listen to on Spotify. However, there has been no official release of any of the English dub tracks, which is a shame as there are some really good tracks that I like from the English dub. Since the show was essentially a marketing tool to sell products, a lot of other tie-ins were made as well. There is an episodic miniseries featuring the Bakugan doing various challenges and comedic things. Overall, it's lighthearted and harmless and has a more younger demographic in mind. Interestingly, it does give Bakugan that usually are silent in the main show some lines like Hydronoid and Ilias. There was also another miniseries geared towards the more hardcore fans called the Bakugan Show. This show was great for what it was as it would respond to the community. However, due to the quick turnaround it would need, being an animated show trying to keep up with the community, the animation was pretty stiff, leading to the host looking creepy at times. Kai Firenzo hosts this show as one of the unofficial members of the Awesome Ones. He is an exclusive character to this mini-series. Kai Firenzo is voiced by Mike Kosh, who has a lot of experience in voiceover for radio, infomercials, and described video. I actually got to meet Mike in one of the Bakugan events I ran, where I was able to learn that he also auditioned for Dan and Lightning and was later called back to do Kai. The show was short-lived, only lasting one season before being cancelled, which was unfortunate since I've never really seen an animated web series tied to a property whose main thing was connecting to the community. After this, Bakugan would spend more time collaborating with kids' toys channels to the dismay of the more hardcore fanbase. Speaking of toys, Bakugan also released a line of action figures which also included a promo card for the trading card game. Action figures were made of Dragonoid, Trox, and Nilius. There was also a special action figure of Dragonoid Maximus, which is the ultimate form of Dragonoid in the show. While it did not interest me, what did interest me was the included Titan Dragonoid Bakugan and the Maximus Evolution card, which has an instant win ability. Though for the price, it wasn't worth it for me. On December 16th, 2018, Bakugan would release its first app called the Bakugan Fan Hub. It's an app developed in-house by Spin Master Studios that would give news on the products and show, allow for the user to log their Bakugan by what they have and what they want while learning more about the Bakugan, but the most compelling thing for me at the time of its release was the Bakugan Brawl minigame. It's just a simple minigame akin to old golf games where you can choose how hard to throw the ball and release at a specific time to determine the direction. It's a fine game, but it does get repetitive fast. It technically does count as the first Bakugan Battle Planet video game, however, so that's interesting. The app is still being updated today, however I feel that it is a huge waste of potential in terms of news and announcements. Bakugan has a big presence on Discord communities and usually news is spread there. However, that news is never relayed on more public official social media accounts. So if you are not connected to Discord or follow community-run social media pages for Bakugan, you may be missing out on important information which should have been relayed on either the Bakugan Fan Hub app or on the more public official Twitter and Facebook social media pages. The most important thing about the Bakugan Battle Planet franchise that all of these tie-ins lead up to are the toys. The toys did end up getting leaked, however the official announcement for the toys was an exclusive invitational draft tournament. The US division of Spin Master invited a bunch of YouTubers to the California headquarters to be one of the first ones to get their hands on the toys and watch the show. I think it was pretty cool since the characters in the show were also YouTubers, so it's kind of like reality imitating art. This was when I was at my most hype for Bakugan, and it was what reignited my YouTube channel. The YouTubers would relay us information in real time, and each new piece of information was incredibly hyped up by the community. All the YouTubers would end up creating draft decks with the new Bakugan trading card game for the tournament, with YouTuber Simo taking the win at the end. The first year of Bakugan toys consisted of about 6 to 9 waves depending on where you lived. There are 6 types of Bakugan factions, each represented by a different color. Red is Pyrus, white is Chaos, green is Ventus, blue is Aquos, black is Darkus, and gold is Aurelis. There were single packs of core Bakugan which were more simpler in design, and Ultra Bakugan which were more sophisticated in design. Starter packs contained 3 Bakugan, 2 core Bakugan, and 1 Ultra Bakugan. The starter sets came with the same thing, but also included a 40 card pre-constructed deck. Due to the 1 Ultra Bakugan and 2 core Bakugan in these products, back when information was limited, many people thought you could only have 1 Ultra Bakugan in your team. The chase item for the toys, because there's always a chase item for these kind of collectible things, were the Diamond Bakugan. Diamond Bakugan are essentially just translucent variations of other Bakugan, though towards the end of the year when things were getting cancelled, some Diamond Bakugan forms would end up being the only way to obtain that said Bakugan, which was annoying due to how rare they were. And due to their artificial scarcity, of course there would be scalping, which would lead to the first flame wars in the Bakugan community. My biggest worry when we first learned of the Diamond Bakugan were that their stats were just so much higher than everything else that was being leaked. However, we didn't know about evolutions at the time, with Diamond being one of the evolutions, so when we got more information about evolutions, Diamonds ended up being not good competitively most of the time compared to the Hyper, Titan, and Maximus evolutions available. The coolest thing about the Bakugan reboot for me, and why I have stayed so interested in it for over a year now, was due to the trading card game. It's pretty much like Magic the Gathering with life decking, and you have to roll marbles onto these metal hexagons called cores for bonuses. Biggest number wins the brawl most of the times, and if you lose all your cards in your deck when an attack goes through, you lose the match. The Bakugan Battle Planet trading card game has 5 different types of cards. You got the character cards, which show you your Bakugan's base stats and effects, evolution cards, which is the upgraded form of a Bakugan, action cards, which allow you to use an effect for the cost of energy, hero cards that give off an effect and then stay on the field for the rest of the game until they are destroyed by an effect, and flip cards, which can only be activated when you have to flip a card from your deck, which happens by effect or when you take damage. This limit on flip cards makes most of them useless unless their effect is to stop further damage. Losing the cards you want to use is really annoying. For me, flips and the life decking are the negatives of the game. However, the charm of using the Bakugan make it up for me. The first year of Bakugan saw 3 products for the TCG. While you did get some cards with the toys, you mainly got cards from the starter set, the 10 card booster pack, and the 3 booster pack card collections that come with a jumbo size version of a character card and 2 cores. Bakugan Battle Planet saw 3 card sets. However, due to poor distribution, it meant some places did not get to see past the first card set, if they were even lucky enough to get the first card set in the first place. Throughout 2019, there were many events in the US for the trading card game, while here in Canada we just got some toy promotions at Toys R Us and Chapters once a month for a few months. While it was fine, they were more directed towards kids, while the US got more competitive events. I was so into the Bakugan trading card game that even though I am super introverted, I ended up running a bunch of unofficial tournaments here in Canada due to the TCG support only being in the United States. This was where I would end up meeting the voice actors Mike Kosh and Devin Mack, which was pretty cool. While holding these tournaments did get us some initial attention from Spin Master, it did not really give Canada any more support from Spin Master in regards to the TCG in the long run. Personally, it did help me with my entrepreneurial and public speaking skills since I was the one that was advertising, running, and covering these events. Since then, unfortunately, the trading card game hasn't really seen the same importance from Spin Master like the toys have, with the cards facing the worst of the distribution issues. Also, Spin Master representatives came out and said that Bakugan isn't a TCG, but a toy line with an optional TCG that's more of a passion project by the developers. The Bakugan TCG has been well received by fans, garnering it a score of 7.3 out of 10 on BoardGameGeek.com. Positive reviews enjoy the combination of the card game and the physical aspect of rolling the Bakugan, with the negative reviews disliking the life decking, the way flip cards are handled, and the abysmal distribution. While kids ate up the toys, the more hardcore fans of the community were more interested in the competitive TCG aspect of Bakugan, and the game is what keeps the hardcore fans interested despite the poor distribution. However, despite the distribution issues, the toys seem to have been selling well, with the second season of toys hitting store shelves early 2020. The Bakugan card game was received positively by the YouTubers invited to the invitational event. However, Team APS noted in one of their videos that Bakugan didn't know how to be a card game, though that seems to be a more unpopular opinion that no one else has brought up. It isn't surprising that poor TCG distribution isn't really messing up with the toy sales that much, especially when you watch the show, as you wouldn't even know that there is a TCG when looking at it. In fact, when I was watching the show for this, I completely forgot about the card game until I went into the community discords. The show takes a very Pokemon-like approach, which is weird since you would think with a trading card game it would be something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or heck, the original Bakugan series. However, that isn't the case. There are actually two ways to play the game, the trading card game and the toy battling game, which emulates the show more. The show varies in quality. The beginning of the series is mediocre and boring, the middle is bad. There is a chunk right after the middle that is actually really good, but then things fall apart in the end. Most of the main characters aren't as compelling as their antagonists. Magnus carries the rivalry between him and Dan Kouzo, Masato is just so good that he steals the screen from Shun, Leah and Winton don't really get enough episodes toward them compared to Dan and Shun, and sometimes it feels like the writers are playing favorites, which is especially annoying due to the amount of filler episodes that are in the show. Leah is the most compelling out of all the main characters, and she has an episode that deals with the grief she has for her deceased father. However, it's only covered in one episode that's only 11 minutes long. There is a second season that I have not watched yet, so maybe Winton and Leah get more episodes, but for season 1, it's just really disappointing. And then there's Lightning the dog. I feel he is unneeded. While I do appreciate that his character goes against the trope of Black being evil with him being a darkest brawler, Lightning as a character does not add much to the overall story, and in fact takes screen time away from other characters like Leah and Winton who need it more. I actually forget that Lightning exists at times. Lightning is more like a mascot for the team. However, I find it silly that they would just use a plain old dog as the mascot, considering Bakugan are a thing in the universe. The Bakugan Kubbo would make a perfect replacement, as while Kubbo has the size-changing abilities to allow him to do the things that Lightning did, Kubbo is an actual Bakugan, and him having more screen time would help with toy sales a bit. The 11-minute episode runtime also really hinders the show. Because the show is essentially a commercial to sell the toys, they need to show the Bakugan in action every single episode. And because of the short runtime, there's episodes that feel like there's just constant noise and fighting. To make things worse, most of the fights are done with reused animation that get old really fast, especially if you watch multiple episodes in a row. John Schwartz from Bubble Blabber gave the first 3 episodes a rating of 5.5 out of 10, saying that the plot was loose and that it was unclear as to what was going on. He did praise the visual design of the show, however noted that the dialogue was poorly written and that the jokes were not good. I have to agree with his review, as the beginning of the series has some of the weakest episodes in the show, with the actual good episodes not showing up until later in the series. Fan opinion on the series has been mixed, with it garnering a 6 out of 10 on IMDb and a 5.8 out of 10 on My Anime List. The show gets praise for the animation as well as the more dynamic battles compared to the original series. The negative reviews from fans stems from the disappointment due to it not living up to the expectations set by the original, as well as it feeling more like an advertisement first and then a show second. I do agree that there's some animation that is nice, however the overabundance of reused animation really sours it for me. I can't compare this to the original as I never finished that one, and it wouldn't be fair for me to weigh in on that. However, a large amount of the Bakugan fanbase do have that same complaint, that it does not live up to the original, so there must be some kind of merit to it. Though, despite the mixed reviews, the show and toy line were greenlit for a second season called Bakugan Armored Alliance. The Bakugan Battle Planet anime is a mixed bag. There were many points in the first half where I wanted to call it quits, however due to me wanting to make this retrospective, I soldiered on. When the good episodes came, they were surprisingly good, to the point where I became invested in characters like Leah, Masato, and Magnus. However, the tail end of the series falls apart with a lack of development for Tico, some bad logic from the earlier part of the show returning towards the end, and even an episode that was incredibly offensive and tone deaf. The ending made me disappointed after getting so invested. Bakugan Battle Planet is a show that has gold in it, but it isn't properly uncovered. However, the trading card game is absolute gold, but the distribution absolutely tears it down. Despite all that, my name is Zeonic Blader, and I love Bakugan Battle Planet. If you would like to watch my unfiltered reactions to the entire series, be sure to check out the playlist Watching Bakugan Battle Planet for the First Time. More videos like this are in the works, however they do take a lot of work, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get updated whenever I upload. Thanks for watching.